This is KVUE News at 5.
Police arrest the suspects in a horrific kidnapping and sexual assault, and officers say there are 2 men still on the run tonight.
A 10-month-old baby in critical condition. Tonight, what we know about the investigation into an illegal daycare.
And they spent years in jail. Tonight, Dan and Fran Keller are declared innocent from accusations of abusing children. Good afternoon, I'm Terry Gruca.
And I'm Mike Rush. Austin Police Chief Brian Manley setting the tone early today as he described allegations of a heinous crime.
These women, although they were victimized, are survivors. They survived a horrific encounter.
We first told you about this last night at 6. 4 men accused of kidnapping, raping, and robbing a group of women visiting Austin. KVUE's Tina Shively has the very latest from APD headquarters. Tina, police dedicating a lot of resources to this case.
That's right, Terry. Chief Manley describing these men as extremely violent offenders, and tonight 2 of them are still on the run. Now, this all started late Friday when investigators say 5 women left a Super 8 motel off I-35 near 290 to pick up drugs. They went to an apartment complex off Burton Drive near East Old Torf, where 2 of them were zip-tied and sexually assaulted. Now, the assaults of 2 other women in the group happened later on in this case. Police did not provide those details. And one of the suspects then told the victim to drive them back to the motel, where she broke away and was able to call 911. Police say one of the men involved in this case, 20-year-old Emmanuel Greer, they cannot release his photo because it may jeopardize the investigation, but they are asking anyone with information to step up.
It appears that Mr. Greer has been very mobile since this incident, and so that's to include locations south of Austin and even north of Austin. So clearly, we don't know where he is, and we would like to find him as quickly as possible.
2 of the other suspects are identified as 19-year-old Christopher Jaramillo and 23-year-old Dimitri Rogers. They're both from Austin. The 4th suspect is described as an unidentified Hispanic male. Charges against those men include aggravated robbery, aggravated sexual assault, and aggravated kidnapping. Chief Manley tells us tonight he is eager to get this case solved. His team is ready to process all of the forensic evidence. If you have any information, you're asked to call 911. Live at APD tonight, Tina Shively, KVUE News.
New tonight, San Marcos police investigating the 2nd murder of the year in that city. They say last night, 28-year-old Ryan Kincaid was shot and then run over. Witnesses told the police they saw Kincaid and another person in the parking lot of a laundromat. They say that the person shot Kincaid in the chest and then took his car and ran over him as he was driving out of the parking lot. Investigators are questioning 2 people they have in custody now.
A baby is in critical condition this evening, and investigators trying to determine whether the illegal home daycare he was attending is at fault. KVUE's Amber Downing is live in the newsroom. Amber, this daycare has since been shut down.
Yeah, Terry, it has last Friday. Taylor Police, Child Protective Services, and Child Care Licensing are all investigating different aspects of this case. At the heart of it, a woman who ran a home daycare and a 10-month-old boy in critical condition. The daycare was being run out of this apartment on Sloan Street in Taylor. DFPS isn't releasing the number of children who were being watched at the apartment. They say because it's part of the investigation. The 10-month-old is in critical condition, but medical staff at Dell Children's Medical Center and police are still trying to figure out whether he was injured or if he has a medical condition. If the child was injured, the caregiver could face a first-degree felony. Now, of course, we had a lot of questions about the different kinds of in-home child care today. We'll take a look at that and how they're licensed tonight at 6. In the newsroom, Amber Downing, KVUE News.
Yeah, pretty eye-opening for parents. Amber, thank you. 25 years after Fran and Dan Keller were first accused of abusing children and performing satanic rituals, today the Travis County DA declared the couple innocent.
Which means the Kellers can begin applying to get $80,000 a year in compensation from the state as part of a program for people who have been wrongfully convicted. Tony Plohetsky broke this story this morning. He sat down with DA Margaret Moore today about how she made her decision in this case.
And Mike and Terry, the DA says this case landed on her desk in January, soon after she took office. Prosecutors had already decided that it should be dismissed, but Moore herself had to decide whether to say the words that Dan and Fran Keller have waited 25 years for, that they are actually innocent.
We're stronger. We're together. We're alive. We thank God every morning we wake up together. Hopefully we'll never be separated again.
That's Fran Keller soon after a court hearing in 2014, a hearing that ultimately led to the state's highest court to overturn their convictions on child sexual assault charges. But that didn't happen until they had already served 22 years in prison.
It's like we're living in a little fantasy land right now. We're afraid to wake up because we might still be in prison.
They were released on bond in 2013, and today, a decision by District Attorney Margaret Moore to drop all charges against the couple and to declare them innocent. Even though the Court of Appeals had thrown out the case, the charges against them were pending, with the Kellers not yet having an end to their saga.
I hope that this puts the matter to rest for them and in fact for everyone involved in this case.
Moore says the choice was no one's but her own.
I would say that there was a very healthy discussion, and I believe it centered on the record in the case, the remaining evidence, and the law. And I am a person who appreciates hearing all sides of an issue, and that was afforded me by my staff. But in the end, it was my decision.
Now, after more than 25 years, Dan and Fran Keller are able to return to their lives. Now, with instead of a cloud of suspicion over them, the word innocent next to their names. Now, the couple must apply to the state comptroller's office to receive compensation. If the state approves and awards it to them, the Kellers stand to receive about $3.2 million. In the studio, Tony Plahetsky, KVUE News.
Just in tonight, police dash camera video in the shooting of Philando Castile. A Minnesota jury on Friday found Officer Geronimo Yanez not guilty of all 3 counts he faced. This video captures the moments Yanez shot into Castile's vehicle during a traffic stop. The officer firing within seconds of Castile, telling him that he had a gun. Castile's girlfriend began streaming live on Facebook as her boyfriend died.
Happening right now, 7 passengers on a flight to Houston are being treated for injuries after turbulence. This happened just before 2 this afternoon. 3 people were taken to the hospital. There is no information on their conditions. The flight originated in Panama City, Panama, and flew over the eastern edge of Tropical Storm Cindy. Chief Meteorologist Albert Ramon has been keeping an eye on that storm, and we may get a little bit of interesting weather in our area. Albert?
Yep, looks that way. As of 1 o'clock, Cindy is now a tropical storm in the central Gulf of Mexico. This is the 4 o'clock advisory, stationary as it continues to spin over the central Gulf. This is a pretty disorganized system as the rain bands are now impacting the central Gulf Coast. Brand new cone of uncertainty, and this continues to shift a little bit to the west. So at play, the upper Texas coast, southwestern portions of Louisiana, including the Lake Charles area for a Thursday morning landfall. Not as a hurricane. This looks to stay as a tropical storm. But the outer rain bands from Cindy could impact our eastern counties through the day on Thursday. Nothing too heavy, but I'll break down those rain percentages across the area starting tomorrow night into Thursday coming up.
See you in a bit, Albert. Democrats in the U.S. Senate are doing whatever they can to give their input on a new Republican health care plan. Senators were up all night on the floor saying Republicans wrote the bill in private. The complex sticking points rolling back the expansion of Medicaid, coverage of pre-existing conditions, and how to lower premiums.
The president clearly wants a bill that has heart in it. He believes that health care is something that is near and dear to so many families.
Majority Leader Republican Senator Mitch McConnell says a draft of the bill could be released by Thursday. A vote is expected before the July 4th recess.
Production resumes on Bachelor in Paradise. The studio weighing in on the controversy and what the investigation found.
Plus, a push from Congress to ban American tourists from North Korea after student Otto Warmbier died days after his release back into the U.S. custody.
You're watching KVUE, where trust is earned.